Hello, this is Alicia Rios Wilks, and I'm here to talk to you about the third level of consciousness. So most people are very familiar with two levels, the conscious or self-conscious mind and the subconscious mind. But there is one more, and that is the superconscious. So what is it? The superconscious is an infinite field of information. It's literally all the information and intelligence of everything, including you. So it's where your innate instructions are held. You can think of it as the intelligence within us that creates and supports all the functions of our body. So it's not actually our body, it's the intelligence of it. It holds the instructions of how to heal a cut, grow a hair, create a baby, and all the rest of it. And when we say it's infinite, it's because it holds all the codes and energies of everything that has ever existed and will ever exist. It's just pure energy that is manifest as information that's used as instruction to give form to this three-dimensional reality. So you could think of it a bit like how we get a 3D printer to work. You need a computer holding all of the codes, the instructions of how to print a given object. So we can think of the information of the superconscious as that computer with the codes that are used to print the physical object. And just like with a printer, we can alter the instructions to create the output that we desire in this 3D world. So that's the work that I do when I work with someone superconscious. Now, why do we call it a field of information? What's a field? A field is defined as a matrix or medium that connects two or more points in space, usually via a force like gravity or electromagnetism. So if we take an electromagnetic field, for example, this is simply an electrical field and a magnetic field which intersect. And the field is considered the area of space where this charge and its effects can be detected. So it's the area that's affected by the electricity and the magnetism. So basically, scientists observed that both electricity and magnets were able to influence objects at a distance, even though there was seemingly nothing connecting them. There was no detectable substance or matter in between. So to make sense of this, they invented this term field to refer to this area around a magnet, for example, that's affected by that magnet. So simply put, a field is a region of influence. So in terms of the superconscious field, it's the area that is influenced by the instructions or codes held in the field. Now, even though we can't see it, we know that it's there because of its effects. See, we know there are things outside of our perception. You know, the human eye can only detect a really small range of the different wavelengths of light. So we don't actually perceive a lot of things that are there. And nowadays, we don't need to see something to know that it works. For example, we don't have to see a text message flying through the ether and landing in someone's phone to know that it's been sent. But back to the superconscious. The superconscious is an aspect of your existing consciousness. It's already there. It's just outside of our normal awareness, just like our subconscious mind is also outside of our normal awareness. But it's very much a part of your own consciousness. It stores memories just as the self-conscious and subconscious mind do. Now, this level of mind has always been there. In fact, it's the original level of mind that you entered the world with. Your superconscious existed before your self-conscious formed, which is around the ages of 5 to 7, and before the subconscious formed, which begins forming around the last trimester of pregnancy, so just before your birth. So the superconscious is what came before. Now, each of these three levels has a different agenda, so to speak. They want something different. So to take you through them, the self-conscious, this is the mind that we're most familiar with. It's our wakeful awareness. It's the part of us that we're in while we're alert. It's the mind that calculates, decides, chooses, discriminates, etc. And the self-conscious wants an ideal. There is an ideal or a good life to the self-conscious, and that's what it wants to live. That's what it cares about, i.e., quality of life. The subconscious, on the other hand, this is what runs the body without us needing to think about it. Because, imagine needing to think about pumping the blood around your body and firing neurons and digesting food. I mean, it would be a bit too much. So because of this, your physical body is very much an expression of your subconscious mind. And that's why we see so often that unprocessed emotions and traumas and subconscious part personalities can manifest as physical ailments and issues. Now, the subconscious is also what turns conscious processes into automated ones. For example, driving a car. So if you drive, then you know that at the very beginning when you were learning, you had to really think about everything. Using the pedals, checking your mirrors, using the gear stick, all of it. But after a while, it just became really easy. It was natural. It was automatic, because now it was in your subconscious. Now, the agenda of the subconscious is purely survival. It just wants to keep you alive on this planet for as long as possible, i.e., quantity of life. Now, the superconscious is very different here because it just wants to experience. And it doesn't have any preferences on what type of experience, good, bad, painful, pleasurable, anything. It doesn't have an agenda there, so to speak. It just wants to experience. Now, to make this more clear, I'll use a metaphor. So I want you to imagine that we are pirates on a ship. So the self-conscious is the captain of that ship. It's giving the commands, it's trying to direct the ship. So, I want to go this way. I want to make more money. I want a relationship. But the subconscious is the crew of that ship. So no matter what the self-conscious, the captain, is saying, stop eating junk food and go to the gym, the crew might not do it because they just might not want to. And if the crew won't do it, then it won't happen, because it's the crew that really run the ship. The captain can't command the ship without the crew doing what it's instructed to do. And that's why the subconscious is so important when it comes to creating the life you want to have. It has a huge impact. But if we have the captain and the crew, then what's the superconscious? The superconscious is the ship. It's what the crew have to use. It's what the captain embarks on. So if the ship isn't a speedboat, then the crew can't do anything to make that ship go super fast. The captain can say, I want to go faster, go faster. But if that's not the nature of the ship, then the crew can't do anything. So at the very core of it, the ship holds the true limits. So the captain can shout louder, and the crew can improve their responsiveness and their attitude. But if the ship stays the same, then there are limits that are still in place. So if we're not aware of what our crew is saying and what our ship is doing, and so we don't change anything, then we can so often end up with a captain giving the commands, but a crew that may or may not do it. And then a rusty old ship with holes in it and broken down parts that just aren't functioning optimally. So given that, you can see how working on the crew, the subconscious, can make a big difference. But without changing the ship, the superconscious, the level of change that you can create is still limited. You must change the ship as well as the crew if you're really going to make that captain happy. So you must address all three levels of consciousness. See, if you change the ship, the crew have different options. Like if you whack a big engine on it, it's going to go faster. That's why, as my clients know, I work with a person's self-conscious, subconscious, and superconscious to create the greatest amount of transformation. Now, as an extra note for those of you who are interested, there are actually fields of differing sizes. So you have your own superconscious field, which only you are in. And then you have your family field, which is a bit larger and contains not only you, but also your genetic family. And then if you go out to the biggest level, there is one field that we're all in. So you can imagine this as smaller circles within larger circles. So your superconscious is an individual whilst also being connected to the all. So what's contained within your individual superconscious field is important because it defines the limits of what your subconscious and self-conscious have at their disposal to use. But you can connect to everything, to all information via your superconscious. You see, in the field, there's no space and time as we know it. And because there's no space and time, there is no separation. And if there's no separation, then we are connected to everything, to all information. So this superconscious is our higher awareness that we can use to access that information. So it makes sense then that the superconscious is actually our source of what we call intuition, which is basically when someone knows something that they couldn't possibly know. So when someone predicts something, or they just sense or know things, even though they haven't been told. And there's lots more to say about intuition. So if you want to learn about it, I will be making a video on that, and I'll put the link in the description when it's ready. But for now, I think we've covered plenty. We've looked at what the superconscious is, how it compares to the other levels, and also why each level is important. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you got something out of it. But thank you so much for listening. I wish you love, light, and freedom. And if you're interested in learning more about how to use your full consciousness to create a life that you just love, then please do get in touch. I'll put my website and booking page below in case you're interested.